So when the Israeli ambassador to the UK, Tzipi Hotovely, was asked about the establishment of a Palestinian state in a conversation about the two-state solution, she gave this very calm, collected, diplomatic response.
Do they have a state, do?
The answer is absolutely no, and I'll tell you why.
Well, then,
Israeli officials being opposed to the two-state solution is nothing new, but saying it explicitly and opposing both the UK and the US's foreign policy at such a critical time has been called a mask-off moment. But she's always held this position. The two-state solution would aim for both nations, Palestinian and Israeli, to live equally and freely under two sovereign states side by side. But some have always held the belief that it was a dead solution. Hotovely has both implicitly and explicitly rejected a Palestinian state, and instead she believes in and has written about something called a Greater Israel. And that involves annexing the rest of the West Bank and Gaza and giving some Palestinians Israeli citizenship, along with increasing Israel's population to become a majority over the Palestinians. So instead of addressing the root issue, which is the Israeli occupation itself, Hotovely and many other Israeli officials believe in, wait for it, more occupation. The Israeli ambassador to the UK continues to advocate for more displacement of Palestinians with some very arbitrary ideas. Hotovely recently called for Palestinians in Gaza to seek refuge in a tiny uninhabited area of land called El Mawasi in the south, which Palestinians themselves have called inhumane. Not only did she not specify how many Palestinians should relocate to this tiny piece of land, keeping in mind that Gaza has a population of over 2 million, but she also suggested a solution that would leave Palestinians in Gaza who used to live in normal homes now living in shacks or tents, and living off of humanitarian aid. But don't worry, because in 2010 she said despite not recognizing the national rights of Palestinians in their lands, she does recognize their human rights and their individual rights, and also their individual political rights. But she says, and I quote, "Between the sea and Jordan, there's only room for one state, a Jewish state," unquote. But that sounds a bit like a popular Palestinian chant for freedom that Hotovely herself has called genocidal. And she recently reaffirmed this notion of 100% Israeli control over the occupied Palestinian territories. The UK-based anti-occupation group Na'amod have said that Hotovely has shown time and time again that she won't accept anything even approaching equality or justice for Palestinians. The group added that the ambassador is a racist with far-right views, and that the UK should have refused her ambassadorship when she was appointed, and that the UK should condemn her. Hotovely has made numerous claims recently and even before this war which have repeatedly been debunked, yet she hasn't apologised for any of them. From saying that there's no humanitarian crisis in Gaza, which there is, to saying that Israel doesn't target innocent civilians, which it does, including several of its own, and claiming that Hamas doesn't let international journalists from entering Gaza, when in fact it's Israel who doesn't let journalists enter Gaza, and Hamas themselves have invited journalists to enter and see what's happening. And Hotovely continued to spread the claim that there was a Hamas base or headquarters under the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza, when there's actually been no proof or evidence to prove so. And this is nothing new, because all the way back in 2020, Hotovely said that the Nakba is a big Arab lie.
A very, very strong and very popular Arab lie. And the Arab lie is the Nakba.
There are now wide calls for her resignation as ambassador to the UK, and there are consistent protests or demonstrations at any event that she speaks at.